What's good, YouTube? I just got back from the Rockville Regional. I got top 8 at it. This is my 7th top 4 top 8 at an event. I was running plants, which I know a lot of my videos are about plants, but it's basically the deck that I run and the deck that I know inside and out, so I tried to run them again. I was supposed to be going to Toronto with this deck, but people without passports and just things like that, when you have your passport, it kind of sucks, but regardless, I got top 8, I got the mat, the Utopia Leviathan mat. Actually looks really sick. I'm actually thinking that's probably one of the mats that I'm going to keep instead of normally selling like I normally do. Um, just talking about matchups all day, I played a lot of agent, random variants, things like that. Game 1 was usually just if I lost a die roll, a lot of times they always open up with the Venus, and if I had the tour guide, it was always nice to go tour guide into a Sangan and just pop off for a free plus. Um, my worst matchup all day literally happened. I played against this one kid running Chainburn. Like, it was ridiculous. Game 1, like, he would pick on my deck, he'd look at the bottom, and he'd cut, like, looking at the bottom. So, like, Game 1, I really didn't want to call him out on it. I was like, whatever, it's fine. It's only, I think, the third round. It's nothing really big. But, like, Game 1, I realized, like, his side deck, he had it, like, neatly organized a little bit. But then, like, a couple of times, he'd reach over to his side deck, and then, like, it seemed like he'd pull a couple cards out. So, like, his side deck would, like, end up unorganized. So I was like, alright, whatever. Because then he had 12 cards in hand when he should have had about 8 to 10. So I just felt like he had to pull a couple extra cards out. But regardless, he chained a bunch of stuff game 1 to deal over 8,000 in that one turn. Couldn't really do much. Game 2 was when it really got interesting. Like, I told him game 1, whenever you cut my deck, can you please keep it, like, parallel to the table, cut it sideways, stuff like that. But he'd always pick up my deck, and he'd look like this, and then he'd start shuffling. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But then he went to pile shuffle, he looked at the bottom card again, and then he shuffled, and then we both handed the decks back. And then after we hand our decks back, he goes towards his side deck, looking like he wants to side back in cards, to make me believe that he stacked me or he saw what I sided in, which basically would have ruined his entire game plan. So then I got a bunch of the judges. I had witnesses around me saying that I told him to keep my decks down, and people around me felt like he cheated. Which the next couple rounds, people were actually saying that he did the same suspicious thing. And in the end, they actually had him sit at the front table and had a judge watch each of his matches. So yeah, it wasn't that fun, but what's his name? I think that's about it. My only loss the entire day was I lost to GBs, but I was playing one of my good friends. We decided when we sat down that if we had a solemn, we would solemn everything that we did, and no heavies could be played. So it was just basically a troll match. It was around 7 out of the 8, so he took that one, and then I had to go on and win out on the bubble. But yeah, without further ado, here's the deck. It's gonna suck, but it opens up with the triple tour guide. This card is basically really essential to the deck. It just instant level 3, instant +1 first turn. You summon tour guide. It baits out Veilers. If they don't have the Veiler, you have the Sangan on board, which lets you get whatever you want. Next card, the Sangan. BLS, just because you run tour guide. Tour guide in the Sangan basically means BLS. If they destroy the Sangan, you get the Veilers, and the Veilers equal the light for BLS. I only ran one Kais. That was his preference. I really couldn't fit room for any more Kaises, and I felt like it'd get clogged. One Maxi for just protection, random. It actually worked really well versus the Agent matchup when they would go Venus and 10th special, and then I drop Maxi, and then they just end up with the one Shine Ball. Debris Dragon, one Gores, the plant engine, the lone fire, the spore, the bulb, and the dandy. 3 Tengus. My friend has my Tengus at the moment, so I had the proxy too. But yeah, I ran 3 Tengus. For the spells, 1 for 1, a mind control, 1 dark hole, a monster reborn, 2 MSTs, 1 heavy, a book of moon, 1 foolish burial, 1 pot of avarice. I play double duality just for the fact that I always, if I go first turn, just summon a monster. I can duality, pick out stuff, and the duality is also really helped for the fact when I went to my sideboard because I sided into somewhat stun, so the dualities just help basically keep it a little stun engine. I played double econ because I like going tour guide, bring out the Sengen, and then you can econ, tribute the Sengen off, pop their monster, and then it just leads to a lot of different plays. 1 Mirror Force, 1 Torrential, the 3 Solemns, 1 Call the Haunted, and then probably the best cards of the day, which basically won me like most of my matches, was the 1 Trap Dust Shoot, and then the double Mind Crush. Mind Crush, when I was playing in the round 8, I opened up double Mind Crush versus him, versus Agents, and he went first turn summon Venus, he went first turn summon Earth, added Venus to his hand, so it was draw, set the Mind Crushes, went Mind Crush, called Venus, saw the rest of his hand, and then I chained the second one to get the other card. So Mind Crush is good because you call it, you get to see your opponent's hand, and basically it's like a free way of going, oh, I see what you have, I'm not really scared of what you have anymore, I can either go off or I can play a little bit conservative. Moving on, the sideboard, I sided 1 Chimera Tech because apparently there were like a lot of like random Machina gadget, random like machine decks, like the Malefic, what's the name, that Gear Town deck, whatever. So yeah, I sided the 1 Chimera Tech with the double Cyber Dragon. Double Thunder King, it just hurts everything in this format. I really wanted to main Thunder King, I just couldn't really find room for it. Probably gonna rework this deck, make a few couple changes that I really didn't like. Most of the changes actually have to regard with like the sideboard. The main board actually felt pretty solid to me, except I'd probably throw in a second Max C. And I'd probably drop the Mirror Force. Just, I don't know, Mirror Force really didn't help me at all today. Like, most of the time I'd be using monsters to get over their monsters, and the only time Mirror Force really was useful was in the GB matchup, but that's where the side should have won play. So yeah, double Thunder King. I sided in double Breaker. This format, there's a lot of first turn summon sets. So if they go summon like a weak monster, you can go summon Breaker, pop your backfield, and use Breaker and swing for it gains like an easy plus. I played double Kaiku. I really didn't use him all day. Like, out of all my games, he probably helped in like only 1 game, and that was because what's his name? He had like a bunch of he had like double Hyperion in hand, and he couldn't like remove anything to special summon it. So yeah, I really didn't like Haiku. It was probably main for the fact that I really didn't see any decks like Twilight, stuff like that. So it was just, he was just basically a little side-in. I really didn't side in much, only against like agents once in a while. If I knew or read how they played a little bit, Kaiku would just run over, try to keep the agents out of the graveyard. double smashing ground. This deck loses to Christia, loses to like the super big monsters, but mainly Christia. The smashing ground just gets rid of Christia. It actually helped versus one of my GB matches. GB's, it was just he'd have a monster. I'd summon my Tengu because he had a Lucario on board, and he didn't want to warning my Tengu just for the fact that he didn't think that I had a follow-up. So I went summon Tengu. He went fine. All right, smashing, and then I just pushed with the Tengu for the plus there. Double bottomless trap hole. Bottomless trap hole. It was mainly sided for agents and like any of the hero stun or like stun decks, because if they went Venus and they activate the effect, activating bottomless really hurts that deck. When I realized when I played it, because you're just going paying 500 for a shine ball, and yeah, well, it's a shine ball. The last two cards I don't have them on me, but they're Royal Decrees. I borrowed them from my friend, and I don't like using hobby leagues, so I'm refusing to use the hobby leagues I had, or I don't know where they are. But yeah, these are Royal Decrees. They were. I thought about it. They were good for GK matchup. They were good for the GB matchup, but they really won me my match versus the Chainburn guy, because it was like game 2 and 3. I sided him in, and I just flipped, and I was just like, all right, I think it's a wrap. I went. Like, how I beat him was game 3, I opened up with a Max C in the Debris Dragon. So I went activate Max C for activate Max C on my turn, summon Debris Dragon, bring back Max C, and just Iron Chain push. And the first Iron Chain push milled his Chain Strike and Mystical Space Typhoon, I believe. So my instant, I was like, oh, get the crease set, and then set a Mind Crush that I topped into. So I was like, oh, okay, that feels nice. And then at one point he flashed his hand, so I saw that he had another Chain Strike in hand. So I was like, alright, that's fine. And he didn't set it, so I was like, my turn, I went flip Chain Strike. Oh, and I flipped Mind Crush, call Chain Strike. And then end phase, flip the Decree, which just locked him down for the rest of the duel. And I just went Iron Chain and went B face with it. For the extra, the one Leviar, one Leviathan, one Utopia. I went into Utopia one game, like the entire regional. I went into these a lot. The Librarian opens up a lot of combos. Leviathan, it's always fun if they go have a Sangan on board, or they go Tour Guide and a Sangan, and you have your Tour Guide and a Mind Control. You just go Tour Guide, Sangan, Mind Control their Sangan, Exceed into Leviathan, and then their Sangan is dead, and you can crash your Sangan into their Tour Guide to get a plus off that. One Formula Synchron, it got limited. Really doesn't hurt the deck much, but the main thing that really hurt this deck was the Pot of Avarice getting limited. Now, when you play it, you just try to control the board, have little big monsters, and control when or know when to play your Avarice. One Armory Arm, one Catastor, one Librarian, one Brionac, one Iron Chain. I ran Iron Chain over Orient because with Iron Chain can actually get over Monarchs, and Orient Dragon cannot. And I was like, a lot of times when I played, people really didn't like have Exceed or Synchro monsters on board. Like when I played against the Agent matchup, a lot of times people would always have like a Gotcha on board, but they never have a Synchro Sum or Synchro monster. So I was like, I really don't think having the Orient was really worth it, and having an Iron Chain was just another out to playing against Monarchs, because he just runs over the Monarchs. And if you have a Foolish for a Dandy and you summon the Debris Dragon and they Veiler it, the 2 tokens can equal Iron Chain Dragon like that. I ran one Black Rose. I ran an Ancient Fairy Dragon because a lot of times I really don't like going Debris Dragon into a Black Rose and just wasting like that. And by having Ancient Fairy, it allows you to Trish a lot easier if you go have a random level 1 tuner in your hand, and you go Debris Dragon, pick Dandelion, and Synchro into level 7. So yeah, that's the main reason why, and the fact that Ancient Fairy Dragon is a light. The one Scrap Dragon.